WACE against TITANI, Karate Bob and Lubbers Muslim Bomb, Part 9, 1-2, WACE against TITANI, Karate Bob and Lubbers Muslim Bomb by dear U.S. General Professor Dr. Frank Waterfort IX. As has been said, the relation between Mitrick and the Foreign Intelligence Service, IDB, operating under Lubbers' Ministry of General Affairs lasted more than 1 year. But how did that relation come about? That was through a letter, which the ex-agent of Tito sent to the turret, Prime Minister Lubbers' parliamentary office in The Hague, and which contains the following moving strophes. An international organization which consists exclusively of Islamic, well-situated fanatics aims at all costs to construct a number of nuclear bombs and to have them explode on the territory of Israel. This organization had nothing except money. Therefore it was forced to look for all experts abroad. This way they came into contact with some Dutch and Belgian businessmen. Thus the plan construed by these fanatics slowly took shape. The organization started by buying the raw materials necessary for the production of nuclear bombs. They bought in the USA 600 kilos of uranium-235. In Switzerland 5 bars of uranium-235 and in Belgium 5 bars of uranium-235. Furthermore, they bought 10 barrels of mass necessary for the creation of the nuclear link. Later it appeared that this mass was nothing else than radioactive waste, stolen from Philips Eindhoven. In July 1981, a meeting took place on the island of Cyprus between the party giving the orders and the contractors. At the meeting were present a member of the Secret Service of Syria, a member of the Secret Service of Libya, a Jordan-Palestinian oil sheikh, a civil servant of the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, double agent Warschau Pact, a Dutch businessman, as of now codenamed Giesberts, a nuclear physicist, engineer of Italian origin, a chemist, engineer, a nuclear physicist from the Middle East. This meeting was strictly secret. The following was decided, because all the material that the organization had until then bought was not suited for making a nuclear bomb. An advance of $20 million was paid to buy proper material. With that money, 60 kilos uranium-238, 99.3%, were bought in Belgium. The leader of the group who provided this U-238 is an ex-minister of the Belgian government. The transaction between purchasers and salesmen was arbitrated by a civil servant from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Giesberts. Interesting is that during the meeting on Cyprus, the aim behind the purchase of uranium was discussed, making a couple of nuclear bombs and to let them explode in Israel and Great Britain. Giesberts became scared, but he could no longer go back. Giesberts sought contact with me and asked for advice in finding a way out. After I had given Giesberts the guarantee that I would never against his will say anything to third parties, he told me everything. We then agreed that I would negotiate on his behalf with the Dutch government. Giesberts can provide the complete identity of all persons involved, 60 kilos of U-238, 10 barrels of radioactive debris in a legal nuclear laboratory within the Benelux, according to Giesberts. The organization giving the orders has paid, after $20 million in advance in 1982, another $100 million in the form of money hidden in the diplomatic luggage of a very well-known Dutch lawyer and transported by the aforementioned civil servant of Foreign Affairs. B. A number of transports of 10,000 kilos hashish. C. A number of transports of 15,000 kilos marijuana. D. A number of transports of 50 kilos heroin. Total wholesale trade value $100 million. Gold valued at $250 million. This has been not yet transferred to the salesman, ex-minister Belgium. It is held in an African country. Remarkable concoction, from which in any case it appears that the makers did not know too much concerning the enrichment procedure of uranium and the difference between U-238 and U-235. Moreover, it is clear that Mitrik and the enigmatic Gisberts had known each other earlier than was suggested in Part 2 of this series. But for the rest, there were nevertheless a couple of tasty balls in the soup. Lubbers thought that obviously too and sent Agent Mansfield to the jug to see if Mitrik had more enticing things to tell. And that he had. Mitrik told a lot about Fens, at that time king of the scene in The Hague. Part of it he had drawn from the tales of someone who maintained close contact with beautiful Tines, Franz de Witt, alias Papa Blanca, a contractor who had also had some amorous affairs with Dame Justicia from which he did not escape completely intact. One of his customers was supposedly Hollandia Clues, a company of the family Lubbers that was governed by Rude and Rob. That did not mean that Papa could not only live for a while on state costs, but that he had to cough up some 10 million to pay premiums and tax money. Correct. De Witt was Mitrik, informant in the uranium issue. And not to forget in the background of the affair, the secret negotiations between a delegation of Dutch businessmen and the not-so-lively club from the Middle East. And what Mitrik came to know, Tines Fens had already known for a long time. As already related in Part 5 of this series, during the investigations of the IDB agent Koos Mansveld and other sleuths, initiated by Prime Minister Lubbers, Fens was shot twice for his job. The last attack, on December 17, 1984, he did not survive, see Part 5. Oddly enough, earlier that year, on 28 August, another intimate of Mitrik who was aware of the two hazardous affairs, died suddenly. That was Kurt Gerlitz, a prominent member of a secret organization under the guidance of Hans Deems Gerritsen, the bosom friend of Prince Bernhard. See above all Part 6 of the Vishaji Commando van der Prins on www.sterling.nl/Morgenster. A series that was also to be found on the, now closed, website of Theo van Gogh, de Gazond Roca. That same week Mitrik was transferred to Leeuwarden. In spite of his loud protests, Mitrik was afraid that he would be assassinated there on orders of a couple of big shots at the Ministry of Justice, see Part 8 of this series. To remain in the same sphere, on November 20th, 1983, Corbeets, owner of the largest cafe for stolen goods in Amsterdam, De Metro, was murdered in his house above his business. 2 Yugoslavians and an adventurous inhabitant from DRIJP, a rural village in North Holland, were apprehended. Although the murder weapon in the house of the Yugoslavian permanent was found, the trio, because of lack of proof, were shortly thereafter able to sniff fresh air again. According to the moustached chaps from the Central Research Information Service, CRE, who were regularly tapping Cor's telephone and his business connections, Beats was, together with Braz Pennings, a living legend in the smuggler world of the time, busy with an enormous deal. This concerned a shipment of uranium that was stored in the port of Antwerp. See Part 9 for Mitrik. References to the role played by a Belgian ex-minister and a party of businessmen in the uranium affair. A slightly bloody tale. Time for more cheerful news. If there was one person exactly aware of the ins and outs of the nuclear affair in which Slobodan Mitrik was to play a temporary role, then this must have been Gisberts. In the article, Steeks will Rondine uranium deal. Duel over and uranium deal. On the website, De Morgenster, it is described how the man, who in January 1985 placed the demands of the Montenegrinian karate master on the table in Lubbers' home, got involved in this not-so-stringy affair. How through mega-conman Guido Hark in Lebanon, he got to know the Palestinian businessman Hassan Zubaidi, and later also his partner Rifat Assad, the then head of the Syrian Secret Service and uncle of the current Syrian president, that was in Cyprus. Because both Zubaidi and Assad were from the beginning part of the Middle Eastern delegation at the successive secret discussions with the delegation of Dutch businessmen, who were mentioned by Mitrik in his letters to Prime Minister Lubbers. We have never managed to find out exactly which Dutch companies, besides Ballast Nedam and Hollandia Clues, which were mentioned by Giesberts, all wanted to lick the pot of the planned enrichment deal with Renzo in the form of compensation orders. But in our laborious dialogues in the course of years with the Dutch intermediary, however, two names fell of chaps, who were heading the greedy Dutch club, Van Schaik and Lubbers. Concerning the question which Van Schaik it was, Giesberts was less explicit, but eventually it became clear that it must have been the engineer J.J. Van Schaik, not an unknown at both Royal Shell and the Amsterdam Engineering Office Comprimo. Correct. The same company that in the same years played a secret role in the laying of the nuclear playing fields of Dr. Qadir Khan in Pakistan. Also concerning the question which Lubbers was on the field in Cyprus, Giesberts was little accommodating. We suggested Rob, but Giesberts named the name of Paul at a single occasion. See footnote. Too bad, but because of Giesbert's understandable reservation, we have not been able to really answer this question. Van Schaik and Lubbers were supported on Cyprus by a nice battery of experts. It was after all not peanuts. In this type of deals, it was not possible those years for Iran, for whom the enriched uranium was intended and which lay heavily under fire, to simply transfer the bread to the Netherlands and leave it at that. A most charming scheme of compensation orders was thus concocted for a whole range of Dutch firms that would receive amounts much larger than normal. What would happen to the surplus amounts is easy to guess. That the phased negotiations did not run smoothly is an understatement. Giesberts, it wasn't easy. At a certain moment Van Schaik could stand it no longer. He yelled, "What am I supposed to do in heaven's name?" After internal consultation, he decided to let everything rebound. Panicked naturally. The meeting was adjourned but nevertheless continued after a while. After both sides had consulted the home front, it was possible to close a new deal. We had some very nerve-wracking moments. Do we have but one source for this charade on Cyprus? No, two. The other one will come next. 12 truck driver called J turned nothing down. This way, he performed during his impressive career not only logistically high-caliber feats for the Italian mafia, but just as cheerfully took to the road for Mossad Dutch businesses. Just to name a few, in first half of the 70s, he worked for the freight carrier Frans Maas, nowadays listed on the Dutch Stock Exchange. But around 1976 he stepped over to the transport company Stroef and Breeder. Not long afterwards the following transpired, Cor. It must have been in 1977 when I drove parts of a nuclear reactor to Portugal, with a double semi-trailer and 2 cranes. KM, how did you know that they were parts of a nuclear reactor? Cor. That was written in the papers. KM, do you know what the destination was? Cor. No, I don't know. I had to pick up their cargo in the port of Rotterdam and transport it to an open area in the port of Lisbon. Their transport was accompanied by a whole swarm of Dutchmen in inconspicuous cars. According to me, they were boys of the Royal Engineers, because they knew damn well what they were doing. It was, however, a long ride. With a double semi-trailer and such a heavy cargo you don't get anywhere terribly fast. But those boys had permits for the complete route. Nowhere underway did we have any difficulties. KM. Was it because of this hole that were approached later for the odd job on Cyprus? Cor. I think so. They knew about it in any case. But I was not engaged immediately to go to Cyprus. That came later. First I attended a couple meetings in Hotel Gascoigne in Eindhoven and a hotel in Antwerp. KM, do you still know who were there? Cor. I remember that there was a German captain of a coaster. But that's all. I had stowed away my papers in my box, but they were being pinched. I remember that Mr. Diepenbroek of Trainetter Van Doorn was involved in this matter and a lawyer's office from Rotterdam by the name of Siolema. After that I was in Cyprus a couple of times. KM. How many people were involved? Core, always at least some 30 males. Arabs, Italians. KM, do you remember who was in control on the Dutch side? Van Schaik, Lubbers. Core. Van Schaik says nothing me, but there was a Lubbers present. KM, which Lubbers? Rob. Paul. Core, no idea at all. KM, did you know that it concerned a nuclear matter? Core, yes, naturally. It concerned the transport of a large cooling system. KM, did it go through? Core, that I don't know, because I was caught in a smuggling job. And I got a visit from 3 gentlemen from Mossad. KM. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Core, I was fishing from the Beemsterbrug Bridge in Purmerend, North Holland. They said that I had to stop with that job, otherwise some nasty things would happen. I told them then that I had also done some things for Mossad and that they could confirm that in Amsterdam, at the consulate. But they knew that. Therefore, it remained a warning. But I did get scared as hell. 2 witnesses thus for the Cyprus project that was handled in 1984-1985 by Slobodan Mitrovic and for Prime Minister Lubbers' reason to send IDB agents in the field. Very likely in order to prevent further leaks. Stay tuned. ******.